Good dawning to thee, friends, and welcome to Sonnet Sisters. I'm Jennifer, and this is my analysis episode of Shakespeare's sonnet number 16. So, Sonnet 16 follows directly on from Sonnet 15, and it continues a lot of the same themes of people growing like plants and war. The basic message of sonnet number 15 was,
while time takes life from you, I attempt to replenish you, brackets, with my poetry.
And in this sonnet, it's basically saying, hey, it's your responsibility to do something about your impending death. And actually, you're the only one who can do that. And this all kicks off within the first 2 lines. But wherefore do you not a mightier way make war upon this bloody tyrant time? Yeah, I don't think you said that quite right. Try it again. But wherefore do you... Okay, I got it. Okay, don't blame me, blame syntax. Today, we would usually say phrases like, why do you not care? Or, how do you not see? But old Shaky said things a different way around, and he would have gone for, why do not you care? And, how do not you see? Hence my confusion. Oh, and by the way, wherefore actually means why, not where. Despite the common misconception that Juliet on her balcony is saying, whereabouts are you, Romeo? Romeo. See, what she's actually saying is, Romeo. Why are you called Romeo? Which makes sense, since she's pretty annoyed that he's a Montague and therefore forbidden to her. So this sonnet actually opens by saying, but why do you not find a more powerful way to make war against time, that bloodthirsty tyrant? That was a lot of talking about just the first 2 lines. There's usually more in there than I first realised, so join me. Well, I guess I better get a shimmy on if we don't want to be sat here all year. So, moving swiftly on, here is a basic rundown of the rest of the sonnet, which I basically got right the first time I read it through. So he's saying, but why don't you find a stronger way to fight against time, this bloodthirsty tyrant wanting to bring you down, and strengthen yourself in this state of decay that you're in. You should be bringing yourself strength using a very blessed, almost sacred approach or strategy that is far better than just my poems, my barren poems, because nothing's going to come from them. They're just words written on paper. Right now, you're at the height of the happiest times in your life, and you're at your prime. And there are many women, oh good, yeah, speak for all of womanhood again, who are currently not pregnant or engaged or involved with anybody, and therefore fair game, who would happily wish to bear your children. And those children will carry on your likeness far better than a painting would, because a painting is just a fake version of you. It's a counterfeit. This could also refer to the sonnet itself being a false representation of the real thing, with the idea that the fair youth is being painted with words. Okay, carry on. The wrinkles of age that you have, the lines on your face, also the family bloodline, or your crumbling and fragile lifeline, like in a palm reading. I mean, Shakespeare did go into a bunch of fortune-telling-y stuff just 2 sonnets ago, so maybe he's doing that again. Who knows? Okay, sorry. Do continue. The lines on your face should be repaired by a child, by having a child, which this poem and Time's pencil, which I think means time drawing the lines on your face and drawing the wrinkles on you. Nope, it doesn't. So this poem, Time's pencil or my pen, as I write things. I'm not sure. It says on my pupil pen. I'm not entirely sure what it means by pupil pen. I think it's a play, something to do with the eyes, because of the line that comes next. Stop! These next few lines, 10, 11 and 12, have caused much disagreement within the sonnet literary analysis world. The confusion and mixed interpretations all stem from the word this in line number 10. So now we have to literally ask,
what is the meaning of this?
The question here is whether Billy Boy was listing 3 different things which are all to do with him writing stuff, or if he was just giving an example of 2 different things which won't last. But before I get into all that, let's have a look at the other bits which aren't the word this. Times pencil. A pencil was actually a small paintbrush used to paint miniatures. It's not a lead pencil like we know them now. They didn't have those back then. So this phrase probably means that time, or the personification of time as a person or a god, has painted the fair youth into his current perfect state. Or it could be talking about the fair youth's fate, like time has painted or drawn out the life that lies ahead of the fair youth before him. So it's talking about time's paintbrush, which is used to create people and their fate. My pupil pen. Now, I wasn't 100% sure of this phrase originally. I'm not sure. It says on my pupil pen. I'm not entirely sure what it means by pupil pen. I think it's a play, something to do with the eyes. But given that we now know what time's pencil means, it starts to make a little bit more sense. Time's paintbrush captures people in all of their glory as they really are right there in front of you. But Shakespeare's quill, or pen, can only capture people in writing, so it only gets them to a certain degree. It's not going to be a perfect copy of the real person. So Shakespeare's saying that his poem can't capture people as well as time's paintbrush can, although he is trying to do so. So he's saying that he's a little bit like a student or a pupil to time. So I guess Shakespeare's calling himself an amateur. How dare you? Okay. So now that we know what they mean, let's try and answer that question.
What is the meaning of this?
Option A. This is literally this sonnet. So then the line reads, which this sonnet, times paintbrush, or my amateur student quill are not able to make either your inward worth and qualities or your outward beauty live on in other people's eyes. Now that seems a little bit odd because he refers to his own writing twice there, and also because time had nothing to do with creating this sonnet. That was all Shakespeare's creation. So why include time within that list? I don't know. Great. Option B. This means the 2 options I'm about to give you. Now, in the 1609 quarto printed version of the sonnets, there were actually brackets around time's pencil or my pupil pen, which therefore supports this interpretation. So then the line reads, which neither time's perfect drawing or painting of you right here, right now in front of me, nor my own attempts to encapsulate you within my poetry and writing can perfectly capture every part of your essence or help you to live on. Well, that was a lot. Oh, by the way, I switched lines 11 and 12 round in doing my modern interpretations of them because that sort of makes a bit more sense. Hey, guess what? Finally, we're now on to the rhyming couplet. It's the end! If you give yourself away, if you give a part of yourself away, brackets, to a woman, that keeps you living. So to me, the word still means like you're still here, not moving onwards towards death. Or it also means kind of remaining. It keeps you still. The essence of you is still here. And you have to live. And the only way to live is through your own skills, your own procreation skills. Why are you laughing?
What? That was what the poem was about?
That's right, you should have kids. My overall impressions of this sonnet are that it's like a stream of consciousness. So he's working out what he thinks about all of this as he goes along. And he makes a couple of quite sharp U-turns from things he has just said in sonnet number 15. At the end of sonnet 15, Shakespeare was saying, "I'll wage war upon time for you by writing you into my sonnets." But then at the start of sonnet 16, he says, "Wait, why don't you do something about it?" And actually, he uses the words you, your, and yourself about 11 times throughout this poem. So he's really trying to point the finger back at this guy. And then he starts to call his own writing barren and goes on to say that his own pupil pen can't stop the fair youth's inevitable doom. So, you do it. My poem's not going to do anything. Just you're the only one who can do anything. By getting down and having a kid. Yeah, we get it. Okay, performance. What are we gonna do? Well, the main thing for this, for me, is that we tie 15 and 16 together, a bit like we did with 5 and 6. So Anna and I have been in communications to work out something that we can do together that makes sense for both. Previous ideas I had involved being a fool talking to a king, because that sort of makes sense of the family bloodline and the pictures referring to, paintings of somebody everywhere not being as good as the real thing. Another idea we had was perhaps doing a TED-style talk to a big audience where we think we know everything. I don't want to say too much about the performance of this right now because it's not 100% set in stone, but you can tune in on Saturday to see what we do come up with. So, until then, rest ye merry.
Come figure it out with the Sonnet